In this morning's Breakfast Bible Bytes, we will take off from Psalm 50 and in context verses 10 through 13, where we will study the spirit of religiosity versus true worship. In today's Breakfast Bible Bytes, we'll pick up where we left off in Psalm 50, except this time contextually, we will read the verses within the framework of the psalm. That's verses 10 through 13. Verse 10 begins, "For every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know every bird of the mountains, and everything that moves in the field is mine." God says, in essence, that every living thing bears the brand of the great shepherd. Even the wild beasts in the forest bear his mark. It is like God said to the donor, did you really think you were giving me something when you brought sacrifices to me? Why, all of the animals already belong to me anyway. Our God demands more than that is seen in the animal sacrifices. He looks for our personal sacrifice, our personal spiritual sacrifice of love and trust in Him. Psalm 50 and verses 12 through 13 read, "If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all it contains. Shall I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats?" The Lord Jehovah is creator of all things. If he had a need, he would just create the solution. He certainly did not stoop to the level of false gods and idols that demand material sustenance to sustain their position, nor would he need to, for all the world belongs to him. Some of the church, and even among the remnant Israel, still hold a God-grieving notion that God needs ritual, ceremony, or money from the faithful. And while it is true that these things may help to our own weakness and our own unspiritual minds to draw closer to his spiritual entity and divine righteousness, rituals and mnemonic traditions are for our benefit and not his. I like the words of Charles Spurgeon on this matter. Do men fancy that the Lord needs banners, music, and incense and fine linen? If they did, all the stars would be emblazoned with his standard. The winds and the waves would become his orchestra. 10,000 times 10,000 flowers would breathe forth perfume. The snow would be his alb. That's a root word used like an albino. The rainbow, his girdle. The clouds of light, his mantle. What can he, who is the owner of all things and who is able to create as he wills, what could he possibly need? I believe contextually, Scripture reveals that ritual and ceremony without commitment of the heart is an abomination to him. Self-sacrifice is the avenue to true worship, and it is inconceivable that any outward display, regardless of how intricate or detailed, offered to him without faith, are acceptable or gratifying to him. Jesus addressed two negative examples as motives for religiosity. The first is found in Matthew 6:5. "When you pray, don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly on street corners and in synagogues where everyone will see them. I tell you the truth, this is all the reward they will get." And another in Matthew 6:16. "And when you fast, don't make it obvious, as the hypocrites for they try to look miserable and disheveled, so people will admire them for their fasting. I tell you the truth, that is the only reward they will ever get." One theme that is consistent throughout Scripture is found in Proverbs 16:18. "Pride comes before destruction, and the arrogant spirit shall fall."